It is time for a look at some films in theaters and on the small screen this weekend. We're joined live by film critic Richard Crouse. Great to see you. How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, thanks. Lots to talk about here. Tick, tick, boom. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is on Netflix right now, and it's the story of Jonathan Larson. If that name rings a bell, it's probably because you're a fan of the musical Rent, which was an era defining Broadway musical. He wrote that, he was the composer on that, but died on the day of its first preview. So he never got to fully be recognized in life anyway for the work that he had done on this. This movie takes us back just a little bit before then to 1990. He's spent 8 years writing a sci-fi musical called Suburbia, and he's hoping to get that produced. But he feels like he's running out of time. He's almost 30 years old, and as he says in the film, Stephen Sondheim had his first musical on Broadway before he was 30. Paul McCartney and John Lennon wrote their greatest songs before they were 30. He feels like time is running out, and then the film, Tick, Tick, Boom, is set against the backdrop of the AIDS epidemic, which was devastating the theater community in New York City, and a lot of his friends are dying. So there's a lot of talk of time and how quickly time can pass in this, but mostly it's a portrait of the creative process. And that's what I think is so appealing about this thing. It's about following your dreams and never saying no. I give Tick, Tick, Boom with a terrific performance from Andrew Garfield, 4 out of 5 stars, and it's on Netflix right now.
Oh, great. Okay, and how about this game's called Murder?
This is a very different movie than Tick, Tick, Boom. This is a surreal look at the inside workings of a high fashion family called the Wallendorfs. Ron Perlman, who we just saw there on screen, plays the father. He is the designer of red stiletto shoes. But behind the scenes, there's murder and betrayal and intrigue, which his daughter hopes to expose to the world. So there's a bit of push and pull, to say the least, between father and daughter in this. And, you know, this movie looks really cool, and it's about a lot of hot button topics like abuse of social media, consumerism, all that kind of stuff. But it is often just weird for the sake of being weird. And after a while, it kind of felt like an elastic that was getting stretched and stretched and stretched until it broke. And then I kind of felt like the sting of the broken elastic against my skin. So I gave this game's called Murder 2.5 out of 5 stars, and it's on VOD this weekend.
And then a story about Brian Wilson. Some may know from a Bare Naked Ladies song, some may know from the Beach Boys.
Yep, and if you watch this, you'll get a larger picture of where he sits in the pantheon of great pop and rock songwriters. The film is called Brian Wilson, Long Promised Road. It's on VOD right now, and it takes the form of a road trip where Brian Wilson and a writer from Rolling Stone magazine go to a number of places that Brian Wilson made history, where they took the first cover photo for the first Beach Boys album and that sort of thing. But by the end of the movie, what the movie teaches us is that Brian Wilson is a pretty reticent interview subject. He doesn't really have that much to say. But anything that you need to know about him is in the songs. It's in the grooves on the records. It's in the lyrics to the songs that he wrote, many of which are very beautiful. And this movie really showcases that. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars, and it's on VOD right now.
Okay, quickly, let's talk about the sequel, The Souvenir Part 2.
Art house films don't often get sequels, but this one is a sequel to a movie that came out in 2019 about a young woman in film school whose boyfriend dies of a heroin overdose. In this part, she's trying to come to grips with the death of her boyfriend, so she makes a film about him as a memorial and then finds her creative and artistic voice. This stars Tilda Swinton and her real-life daughter, Honor Swinton Byrne, and when they are on screen together, it's kind of like a warm hug, seeing them work together. It's fantastic, but the movie is a really interesting look, again, kind of like Tick, Tick, Boom, at the creative process and how creative people arrive at the work that they make. I gave this one 3.5 out of 5 stars, and it's in theaters this weekend.
Okay, great. Some high-rated options there for the weekend. Thanks so much, Richard.
Thanks for having me.